It was a good season by the Carolina Panthers, that's no doubt. 9. I wanted us to compete for the wild card position, and we did. That's what I was expecting after the previous 2 seasons, going 2-15. Then it was 5-12, and then we went 8-9. So you're seeing the progression, the steady progression. It's the same way Detroit kind of built their sort of success, progressively getting better and better and better each year, keeping the same staff, and also developing your quarterback and trusting that development of the quarterback. And it's been shown pretty evident this past season that Bryce Young really took the next step. He had more touchdowns, he had more yards. He's been the best quarterback that we've had in terms of season-wise and also just, I think, talent-wise in general since Cam Newton. We had Kyle Allen there for a second that was on a hot streak. Then you had Taylor Heineke as well. You had Taylor Heineke before Kyle Allen. And then you were supposed to bring back Cam Newton. Cam Newton gets injured, and then they cut him because you fired Ron Rivera and you hired Matt Rule. Said they wanted to keep Cam Newton, but then lied through his ass. And then you went to Teddy Bridgewater. Started out good with him, did not end well. We ended up trading him. Sam Darnold, as we all know, that didn't work out either. Yeah, Baker Mayfield too, PJ Walker. You could argue that Baker Mayfield, but Baker Mayfield had one of the lowest deep passing completion percentages of any sort of quarterback all year. Bryce Young was number 1. Definitely improved play by him, and I'm ready to see what he does next season because I think we're going to add a couple pieces for him. Just have to retain some of our O-line and probably add to it as well. But I think we met expectations this year. I wanted us to compete for that spot in the wild card round. Didn't exceed them. We had some games where we exceeded them and some games where we were just below average. The 2 Saints losses kind of stuck in our crawl there for a second, but Falcons kind of bailed us out. But I feel really good about the sort of progression that our team's seeing. I think Dan Morgan's got an overall plan for what he wants to do. It would be aggressive in free agency. There've already been some couple key names of the day that's already been gone out there. It's Trey Hendrickson's one of them. The Bengals not bringing him back. But in terms of key games, obviously the Falcons shut out 30-0 because that's not normally often that you shut out your rival. But Michael Penix was playing horrible, and our defense was having a field day. The offense just wasn't up to par yet, as clearly saw the very next week when we got blasted by the New England Patriots. But the biggest game I think I probably say of the year had to be the Dolphins game. That was really because when we were down 17-0, I was, as you could probably remember, I was just distraught. I was just like, okay, it's time. Gotta go through another rebuild. It's over. But Bryce Young and Ted McMillan came out and freaking made some plays. Rico as well was another one that played he had the biggest game of his career that day. We were like, okay, we see the identity now. We see we're going to have to try to continue this pace and everything like that. And we did. Very next week, other than the Saints games, probably the one that stuck in our crawl too. After the Dolphins game, then you had the Cowboys game. And at that time, that was kind of seen as an upset, which was kind of crazy to me because the Cowboys defense was total garbage. And Rico absolutely lit them up, but so did Bryce Young. Bryce Young was having a field day. Then you had the Bills game, and that was the proof to the pudding that Bryce Young is clearly the answer and that he is the QB of the future and the QB of the team because Andy Dalton went out there and utterly shit the bed. James Cook had a field day against us. Just a bad overall game, and that's what you see a lot from this team is they can play very, very consistent, but then they can have some really, really bad losses too. That just shows you the youth and also just some of the missing pieces that they have, which is really in the edge room, linebacker room, and the tight end, and times the O-line room as well. But the biggest win, other than the Dolphins, Packers win was really, really big. On the road at Lambeau, windy day, so it wasn't a lot of throwing going around. Even for the Packers, they weren't throwing the ball that well, just because it was so windy. Jordan Love, that's one of his greatest strengths is his deep ball. And when he can't get his deep ball off, it's kind of, they struggle to move the ball offensively. And we kind of held them in there. Rico had another good game. Was a little bit surprising to me because the Packers are so sound on defense, but it was still a defensive game. Ryan Fitzgerald, rookie kicker, coming in clutch against the Packers too. He had a lot of good moments. He missed some field goals, which I think some of them are not his fault, but I think we found our kicker of the future. He's a rookie, came out, made some big time kicks all year, and I really trust him for the future. And had one of the worst losses, the Saints game. Coming off that big win against the Packers, you're like, okay, think we're moving back in the right direction. We can take sole control of the NFC South at this point, and you lose to Saints, 7-17 at home, and you just saw it from that point of view of just the problems of consistency on offense, of the play calling just being just not good enough. And it became apparent there was no clear identity from the offensive side of the ball. It was just throwing shit at the dartboard and seeing if it works. So that's something that has to be improved. Falcons win was a hell of a win. Came back. Michael Penix did get hurt. He was kind of ripping us a little bit, but Bryce Young also set a franchise record for passing yards, and that was his probably best game of his career so far, which he did then follow it up later in the season with the Rams game. But that Falcons game, he set the franchise record, and just that was really his kind of breaking out point. And then when Bryce Young is able to throw the deep ball and you call those plays for him, it will have success. And that's why we beat the Los Angeles Rams. It's because of the said deep ball. Had the big one to Jalen Coker on fourth down, had the big one to Tet on fourth down, and also the defense forcing turnovers and doing something which was turn over the ball, especially in the red zone. That was the big key. And also one of the reasons why we almost beat them in the playoffs was because we were able to force Stafford into mistakes. I don't know for what reason we were able to do that, some disguise or something we were doing, but we couldn't do it later in the game. And then he had the bye week, and then just the utter freaking disappointment against the New Orleans Saints again. If we beat the Saints, then we beat the Buccaneers, automatics lock in for the playoffs, and then we could also have possibly a better seed too, and not play the Rams. Buccaneers game, that was an impressive game. Bryce Young had a hell of a game. That defense played well, forced Baker Mayfield into a bunch of turnovers because he's ass. But it was a big time win. You can tell that there was a sort of inclination for, but ball didn't lie, didn't matter. We still made the fucking playoffs because fuck the Bucks and fuck the Saints. We then go to the playoffs for the first time since 2017. You host the playoffs for the first time since 2015. I was in middle school when that shit was going on. Then I was in high school for when we made it in 2017. And both of them did not work our way, obviously. But this one also did not work our way. Incredible job by the Panthers to compete against the team that took the Super Bowl champions to the wire. I mean, absolutely. It was close as could be. 31-34. That Bryce Young had a legacy game. I mean, it was like his coming out party again. It was just showing that we made the right pick and that we need to continue to build around Bryce Young and continue to see that growth. And I'm very, very proud of how he responded to everything, because going through three different offense coordinators and two or three different head coaches, if you're including the interim head coach, is kind of crazy. The way that he just stood in there, especially getting benched and stood in there, I think the benching was the best thing for his career, and worked and worked and worked and worked to keep getting better year after year after year. And it showed in this playoff game. He had multiple clutch moments. The reason why we lost this playoff game was not because of him. It was because our defense coordinator's inability to adjust on the whim and also be aggressive against the MVP, which was insane to me. Just because JC Horn's out of the game does not mean you stop playing your defense in a win or lose game where they're consistently moving down the damn field. You got to do something. And clearly, we didn't do enough and we lost the game. But a very, very good season, in my opinion. You had a lot of injuries on the offensive line. Ike Kwanu was one of them. He got hurt in that last playoff game. Starting left tackle tore his ACL. I'm pretty sure his MCL and some other ligaments. Might be one of the things we addressed in the draft. Brady Christensen kind of was the key behind our O-line a lot of why we were running the ball so good. And when he tore his Achilles, it kind of shit the bed against us with that. You had Robert Hunt, starting right guard, go down in the Cardinals game and kind of screwed us. Taylor Moton had a few games where he missed as well. Cade Mays, too. Austin Corbett filled in for a lot in there, but he was awful. Curham, rookie, he signed, and he played well in some limited time, so he might be a very serviceable O lineman, or possibly maybe a starter in the future if we have to get rid of somebody. But Damian Lewis and Cade Mays and Taylor Moton were our three key guys on that O line, which pretty big. Trevin Wallace getting hurt as well, getting out for the year, coming off a decent rookie season, trying to build off of that. He had a slow start to the season, very slow start, but came out and played really well towards the middle part of the season, then got injured. So we'll see how that works for him. JC, injury in the playoff game, but he's fine now. Corey Thornton is another undrafted rookie that we had big time plans for. He was our nickel, and he played really well, and he played better than Chanu Smith-Wade, which was one of the reasons, or Chanu Wade-Smith was one of the reasons why our secondary kind of drizzled off towards the end of the season, was because Corey Thornton wasn't in there, and that was a big time loss for us. Jalen Coker was the big miss. You missed him for 7 to 8 weeks, and that was apparent, as you saw in the playoff game, how big of a role he has in this offense. And you didn't see that start the season because he was out. Because we traded Adam Thielen, and then the very next day, freaking Jalen Coker hurts himself in practice, and it's just like, what the hell are we doing? You know, the bad luck keeps coming. But the Adam Thielen trade, we kind of got a steal there for him because he goes to Minnesota, doesn't play a lot. I think that's really all in terms of the trades and injuries. Isaiah Simmons was a good signing towards the end of the season. Made that big key punt block playoff game against the Rams, which was pretty impressive. So I would see that we probably get him. In terms of what I want to see next season, I want to see us continue this success. I want to see double-digit wins. I think that's the expectations that you should see. You're returning a lot of the talent. Still, you have a good number of free agents going into the next season that you have to re-sign. DJ Wanham, defensive end. Cade Mays, left guard. Austin Corbett, right guard. Brady Christensen, Rico Dowdle, Christian Roseboom. Yeah, Nick Scott that needs to be re-signed. He's our starting safety, which we could kick rocks with him. I could give a shit less. He's one of the reasons why we lost the Rams game. Need to bring back Isaiah Simmons, Jake Curran, Chris Barnes. Jalen Coker's the big one. That one we need to extend. We need to get him on a max deal or a long-term deal because he's going to be very good in the near future. And him and Tet are going to be a dynamic duo. Peak that Tet could probably get to is probably Mike Evans level, or better. If he's better than Mike Evans, or if he's Mike Evans, shit, that's a hell of a career. Jalen Coker, Puka Nacua level. I mean, they're kind of similar players and similar styles, but Jalen Coker's better in one-on-one. So, sucks to suck, Puka. But yeah, I see us bringing back some of these guys, but in terms of free agents, big-time players that I think we're going to go after, Devin Lloyd, Nakobe Dean possibly, but like I said earlier, Trey Hendrickson, that was a guy that we had some interest in trading this past season for. I would love to get Max Crosby. It would just probably cost way too damn much. We have some other issues on our team to where we cannot make a move like that, in my opinion. It just doesn't fit Dan Morgan's mold. Dan Morgan loves to build through the draft, sign a couple free agents, not make big name trades. But I just don't see us making that move at the time. Maybe next year might make that move, but not right now. We got some other places, which is big one, tight end. Holy shit. We have not had a good tight end since Greg Olson. A couple names that I've thought about, not necessarily been reported. David Njoku, same thing with Dallas Goedert. But in terms of tight end, I probably see us more than likely doing is Isaiah likely. Uh, that probably will be the move. Either that, or we draft a tight end from Oregon, or we draft Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt in the second round. But he's more of a wide receiver than he is tight end. Tight end definitely needs to be addressed. We need to get somebody reliable for Bryce Young. Edge is definitely where we need to. Edge and linebacker is a definite need. Safety, nickel as well. We got a lot of spots we got to fill. Definitely need to make some improvements. I see project 11-win season. Definitely double digits. Had the offense coordinator change, and Panthers have a lot of potential next year to possibly be a contender for the Super Bowl, which would be what I need. I need just a Super Bowl in my lifetime so I can just die happy. But I see us competing, being a top seed. Might have to make some more changes. Definitely should be a very, very big time season next year, and I'm really excited for it. I'm ready to see the progression of Bryce Young even further to possibly being an MVP candidate. Here's hoping. Uh, but more than likely, I'd rather just have a fucking Super Bowl. Uh, Super Bowl is everything, and that's what we need to focus on. So, with that being said, keep pounding. And fuck the Saints and fuck the Falcons and fuck the fucking Buccaneers.